Hey, this is Bethany, and this is my Fierce Deity link as part of a Zelda collab, starting with NickeilGenesis, who did this awesome dark link look, so check her out. Then, my friend Abbykus did Princess Ruto, and she did a beautiful interpretation of her. After Abbykus is Midna, done by I Wanted to See One video, and I love her recreation. Next is my buddy JackyOhhh, and she did a less scary version of the Great Fairy. My friend Minsooky did a gorgeous avant-garde interpretation of the Goddess Den. And then last but not least, my friend Megs from NsomniaksDream did the actual Majora's Mask, which looks freaky. All of them are super awesome, so please go check them out too. And let's get started. First, we're going to start off by showing you how I made the jewels on Link's chest. I first took some model magic clay and made the shapes, then I was painting them with water activated paint. I painted the jewels first because I wanted it to dry, and then I went in with some gold paint just to paint the edges. Once that's dried, I add some depth to the jewel with some darker shades and even a little bit of dark nail polish. And once that's all dried, I add a little bit of glimmer with white water activated paint to give a little bit of a 3D effect. After waiting for that to dry, I coat them all in the jewel area with about 3 or 4 coats of clear nail polish for a shine, and there you go. Now onto makeup. I start by putting one of the white contact lenses into my eye, just for point of reference of how it's going to look with the makeup. Then I'm going to start by gluing my eyebrows down. I'm not going to cover this too terribly thoroughly, you know the drill, pat down with water to make it smooth, layers and layers, and powder. Then I cover my skin with foundation that's slightly darker than I am. I'll have that linked in the down bar below, and I set it with a slightly darker powder as well because this link is a little bit tanner. I also bought some prosthetic elf ears off of eBay, and I'm covering them with about 4 layers of that foundation and powdering them. Putting those ears aside, I'm going to continue covering my brows. I'm using a cream foundation to do this. I always like cream to conceal the brows. I just feel like it melts into the skin and conceals them better. And then I'm patting that away with my beauty blender, and I do a few layers of this before I powder it. I'm also taking a slightly darker powder foundation than what I used, and I'm using that around all the parameters of my face to help make it leaner, more dimensional, and also give a slightly tanner effect. Then hopping over to my NYX Highlight and Contour palette, I'm going to actually begin contouring. I'm emphasizing my cheekbones, definitely trying to make my jawline look sharp again because his comes to a point, and then trying to contour my nose to make it look a little pointy as well. I also contoured my neck for masculine emphasis, but most of this will be covered anyway. Then, after priming my eyelids, it's time to hop over to some Link-like eyeshadow, or the best I can do for hooded eyes. So I'm taking this cream color and I'm applying it all over my lid and my brow bone. Then I'm going in with Makeup Geek's Beaches in Cream, and I'm going to emphasize a crease way above my crease, just below where my brow is concealed. Then taking Makeup Geek's Barcelona Beach, I'm going to work that on the inner portion of the eye to darken it, and then work that up along under the brow bone, dragging it out. This is going to resemble kind of a softened drag cut crease. And then taking the residue of both eyeshadows, I'm dragging that underneath the eye to get a more grumpy effect from this Link. But really though, this Link ain't supposed to look happy. He's fierce, okay? Fierce Deity Link, right? Then I'm taking this cool gray shade from one of my Lorac palettes and a tiny blending brush, and I'm creating this faux crease below my eye. This will make it look like it's bulging and bigger, like Link's. Then I'm darkening the inner corner of the eye to get more emphasis on it tilting down and emphasizing that crease that we've already structured a bit. I also cleaned this up with a bit of that cream foundation, just because. Then taking some black liquid eyeliner, I'm going to begin creating my eyeliner line and wing. And you can't tell me that Link would not have wing to his eyes because it is literally drawn on there in most illustrations. So I'm going for a pretty dramatic one to emphasize an upward tilt on the outer edge of the eye. And that's probably the best I can do as a hooded eye person to try to look like him. I'm also adding that little flick on the bottom edge of the eye that he has as well. Then taking a bit of matte brown eyeshadow from that same palette, I'm going to darken the inner portion of my eye a bit. I noticed I needed to once I laid down that wing, and then I'm emphasizing the crease once again and the underfold of my eye. and then just blending it all out. Next, I'm going to pop in my other contact lenses. However, these are slightly different, though they're the same type of lens. The one on the left is CamoeEyes. It's way more comfortable. It stays on the middle of my eye, but my pair to it broke. So I had to pop in an old contact lens from another brand, which was more uncomfortable on the right side, which hangs down and makes me look a little crazy. So just a heads up on that, I tried. So please don't grind my gears on it. It's hard enough painting yourself with these lenses on as it is. After applying some false lashes by Ardell, I go ahead and apply a coat of mascara as well, and then it's time to hop into painting my face. I start with using some blue paint, and I'm going in the same shapes that I see illustrated on Link, though they vary a bit. I'm correcting that, but then I'm making the edges kind of jagged because I want to go for a more war paint effect than clean, crisp lines, because I think that feels more authentic. I'm one of the few people that enjoys like the war paint eyebrows that he has instead of eyebrows, so that's what I'm filling in as well. And then I'm going in these kind of hanging points and then flicking back up into the temple. This emphasizes my cheekbones, and they emphasize the cheekbone on his character, but it's definitely more of a war paint feel as well too, so I kept those a bit messy and less clean. Hopping over to the other eyebrow, I just do the same on the other side, and I'm not really attempting to make any of the lines very clean. And the point of which I kind of buckle the line and bring it back up into the temple is the height of the cheekbone. So that would be a good point of reference for yourself if you apply this to your own face. Once I've got the general line structure laid down all across my face, I'm going to be taking the small tip of a pointed brush and creating little flicks down on the edges just to create a more war paint-like effect. Mind you, I don't want them flicking down into my eyebrow area, so I'm going to flick them up from that side. I'm also doing the same effect on the blue area of my little design, flicking out from the edges. Then I'm taking an ultra fine brush and using black paint to line some edges and give some more emphasis. And again, these lines don't have to be perfectly clean. They're just there for emphasis of the war paint type feel, just to make the character come to life and look more, you know, strong and fierce in appearance. Then hopping over to his tunic, I've already laid down some of the lines with some white eyeliner, and then I'm laying down some white water activated paint by Majora, about 2 layers just to get his white sleeves that he has. Then he has like a breastplatelet that's silver, some sort of metal, and I fill that in with gray paint. Once that's filled in, it's time to paint the blue type turtleneck thing that Link wears that's kind of the equivalent of what Ocarina of Time Link wears in white. So I'm going to outline that, and I'm going to leave some space blank for flesh in the middle where I apply those jewels. And I am going to fill that in kind of haphazardly for now, and as I go, I do make this paint more opaque. This is just sort of a back and forth thing with me since I haven't painted much clothes before, so it's a learning curve. Then I'm taking some black eyeshadow. This is the NYX Primal eyeshadow, and I'm going to be creating some shadows in the corners of his vest, down the middle of the breastplatelet, underneath the sleeves that I've created, all around some edges where I think shadows would be, though this is a bit of trial and error, and if you do mess up if you try this, then just cover it with paint again and go again after it's dried. I'm also making the sleeves look folded, though this was the hardest part since I've never really done this before. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh what do I do? Then with a dense kabuki type brush like before, I decided to fill in that blue paint more opaquely with less water. Then I'm using some black eyeshadow to shade indentions in the breastplate and come around with a much thicker brush to shade some areas. Then taking a thin skinny brush, I've started lining some edges with black to make these areas more clean. And mind you, everything looks like a mess before you start doing this, so don't feel discouraged. I also had another go at my sleeves because they were just irritating me, and it was just a lot of trial and error to figure out whether I could make them look like how I wanted them to look. They ended up looking okay, but still not how I wanted. Then I took some gold paint and I brought that around the edges of his breastplate because that's how he's illustrated, and it's the same paint I used on the jewels just so that they match. And that's why I didn't paint the jewels to make them shiny, because this paint isn't going to be shined over as well. So then I clean up those lines and I add some highlights with some white paint and blend that out. And then I reestablish some thin lines again. Now it's time to put on a wig cap and apply those ears that I put aside with spirit gum. So this was a little bit of a hassle because I haven't used spirit gum before. I think I may have just had cheap spirit gum from like a Halloween store. So maybe Prozaid would have worked better. This did get my hair stuck in it though. And I press them to my face until they're adhered. And then next I put on my white wig, so we're almost there. Off camera, I did have to apply a nude lip, some chapstick, and then I also glued on my jewel pieces on my chest with spirit gum as well. Alright, that is my finished look for Fierce Deity Link. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more Zelda type videos, please give this video a thumbs up so I know that you like it. And of course, thank you all for watching my videos. I hope that you will check out everyone in this collab. All of them work so freaking hard and their looks are all so great. I'm super freaking proud to have gotten to work with them all. So please check them out and I will link them below and at the end. Thanks again for watching my video. If you liked it, please subscribe and I will see you all next time. I hope you have an awesome Halloween.